Hey, babe. Okay, real quick before we dive into today's episode, which is such a juicy one, and we're going to get into all things investing, I want to make sure I let you know about something very cool that is happening very soon. So, in 2 weeks from the launch of today's episode, I will be hosting my first live workshop in the last 4 years. It has been 4 years since I've hosted a live workshop, so you do not want to miss this one because it's going to be oh so good. It's the Build Your Boss Foundation workshop. We're going to talk about money. We're going to be talking about responsibility and trust, confidence, abundance. I have 3 super juicy days all queued up for you. Day 1, we're going to talk about forgetting everything you know about money and what money is really. Day 2, we're centering on the question, how do I build trust and stop resisting money? And day 3, we're going to be talking about rewiring your brain for confidence and abundance. I am so excited for this workshop. If you want to get in the moment that the workshop starts, I highly recommend that you get your sweet little buns over to amyvanmeel.com/boss to register for the event. We are kicking off on June 26th, and I cannot wait to see you there. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Whew. Okay, welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am your host, Amy. I am fucking delighted to be here with you today. I am all kinds of fired up. You can't see me, but like my hands are going. I'm like completely sitting straight up. I am just literally all of my cells are sparking being here with you today. Now, tiny little background. So, just earlier today, maybe I don't know, half an hour ago, I was getting another video up on the socials, and as I was waiting for one of the videos to upload on the TikToks, I was checking in on some of my other videos, and I noticed there was a comment on one of them. I'm like, oh, hey, cool, I got a comment from somebody. That's awesome. And it was one of those troll comments, and I was like, really? And I have this moment. Maybe one day I'll move past it. I have no idea. But this is my second troll comment that I've had so far. And at first my heart starts to beat really, really fast because it's kicking into our sympathetic nervous system and alerting my fight or flight symptoms, right? But very quickly afterwards, I'm like, all right, I totally understand what's going on here. This is just some low vibe person. Love that they feel like they can just calm me down and somehow that's going to impact me. So I just responded with something simple because their comment was something along the lines of, I don't trust you have money with that background, honey. And I was like, your trust isn't my currency, buddy. It got me all fired up. I went out, I did a couple of rounds of the block. I had just my badass babe vibe music rocking in my ears. And oh my gosh, I am bringing all of that energy to bear to our episode today. So if I am reading to you exceptionally just on fire and lit up, that is why. So today is day 3 of our 3-part series on investing. And I want to be super clear with you. I have had some pretty precise notes for the last 2 episodes to make sure that I covered all of the things. Today, I have bullet points to guide me, but I wanted to get into the studio to sit down and record this episode for you in this specific energy because I just believe magic comes out of this. So very quick, of course, if you haven't listened to the first two episodes, definitely listen to the first two episodes first because it's going to be setting the whole foundation for everything that we're talking about today. The goal of today's episode, so in our third in our series of 4, today's episode's goal, that's a weird way to say that, is to remove any fear that you may have about starting investing and to make it super fucking simple and clear what you need to do to start. I promise this isn't scary. You're going to get my joyful, excited, possibly over enthused energy coming through your ears the whole way through. I'm going to do my very best to make sense of the bullet points that I have. Full disclosure, I have not proofread them. It's been a little while since I wrote them. So it's going to be a little bit of an adventure today, but I think it's a great space to come at this from because really investing is an adventure. It's just a fun, different way to play in finances and play with some financial tools and stuff. Now, the main thing that I want you to remember throughout this whole episode is this: you cannot do it wrong. Okay? You cannot do this wrong. If there's kind of one piece of foundational advice I could give everybody when it comes to investing, I would start with this one. You can't fuck it up. All right? You just got to start. You're going to have moments, decisions that you're kind of that maybe didn't work out quite the way that I wanted it to, but you can't fuck it up. And the other thing that I'm going to add into, I have a second thing, but this is like a sub point under the first one, is all the people who try to make you feel less than, who try to make investing and really finances in general feel like there's this big, scary, intense kind of topic. And they're like, you just need to trust me and I'll show you and I will help you and I will do it for you. They're just gatekeeping. If they're making you seem like it's overly complicated, I truly believe that pretty much everything in life is fairly simple, right? And someone is probably going to come at me with some example of heart surgery isn't simple, brain surgery isn't simple, blah. At its root, it's simple. There's something wrong with your heart. You got somebody who knows how to fix it. You get it fixed. The end. I'm working on a new theory, which is simple always wins. So that's what we're at. The second main thing that I want you to remember when you are listening to this episode, when you're jumping into your investing embodiment, like that juicy investing boss vibe that you're filling up and standing into, is that you're not making capital letters the rest of my life decisions. Okay? You're making an intentional and concerted decision to begin growing my wealth. You can and likely will, and you will need to shift things over time because your goals today will shift over time as you get older, as you increase your income, as you build your knowledge. That's just going to happen. I know that for myself, I kept myself out of the game of investing for a really long time for a couple of reasons. One of them was the one that I mentioned earlier, that everybody made it seem so complicated. But the other one was the fact that I was terrified that I was doing it wrong, that I was going to be making all the wrong decisions, and then in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I was just going to be like, what the fuck did I do? I couldn't have made that worse. But what I eventually realized, sadly, it took me a lot of years to realize this. What I eventually realized was that actually, by keeping myself out of the game and just going oh my God, this decision is going to impact the rest of my life, instead of just taking an action and starting to invest with $100, $10, whatever it was that is available to you or was available to me at the time, I actually shortened, how do I say this? I shortened my time in the market to learn, right? I could have been in the arena learning as I go instead of standing outside going, okay, maybe I need to watch another video. Maybe I need to just learn from someone else. Maybe I need to ask my husband. Maybe I need to talk to 400 more people. I don't know. How do I know I'm going to make the right decision? What if I fuck it up? So you can't fuck it up. Know that you can't fuck it up. And that also your decisions will evolve over time. All right. So hold those two truths in your mind. They do not mean that you're not going to have moments that you're like, why did I do that wrong or whatever. I just want you to know that investing isn't scary. And ladies, especially this one is for you. You don't need an advisor or an investment professional to do this for you. I met with quite a few women in my last job, I wanted to talk with women about money. And thankfully, I had about, I think, 8 or 10 different women that put their hand up and was like, Amy, I'm down to chat with you about money. And they were like, what's the goal of this conversation? I said, I don't have one. I actually just want to understand what your experience is with money. What are your questions? What are the things that you're curious to learn about? Like, just tell me all the things. And at the end of every meeting, I'd always ask some version of the question of like, what do you wish you could learn more about now? Or what do you wish you knew more about now? And almost all of them said investing. And I'm talking, these are women who worked in tech, who were all kinds of different successes at different levels of their field, who were leading and breaking down ceilings, leading what I would say male dominated teams. And yet they were all at this point of like, I don't know how to invest. And a bunch of them were just like, no, I just let my advisor tell me what to do. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't do that. That's not a good idea. Now, I go into this in depth in my transformational money course, Building Vampires. And enrollment will be opening very soon. Very quick though, before I tell you, before I blah, blah, blah. See, here we are. We're in the energy. Sometimes it gets a little bit squirrely. Before we dive into this episode, I want to make sure that I just let you know I have a live workshop coming up very, very soon. I'm very excited about it. It's got to been like 4 years since I've last hosted a live workshop. It has been a minute, okay? So this is a big fucking deal. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be doing a 3-day live workshop. It's all going to be hosted on Instagram Live. So it'll be June, let me look at my calendar, 26th, 27th, 28th at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're in the East, that's noon. If you're in the Deep West, that's 9 a.m. All 3 days. It's going to be on Instagram Live. I do, however, have a replay page that you can register for. So if you want to register for the event, that way you'll get some notifications, make sure that you're like on top of everything. There might also be some like juicy extras for people who register. Then I invite you to head on over to amyvanmeel.com/boss. The workshop is called Build Your Boss Foundation. And my whole goal for these 3 days is to really set the foundation for you to show up as like total boss vibes when it comes to your finances. So we're going to be breaking down what money really is. We're going to be talking about responsibility, building trust with yourself. We're going to be talking about what's day 3. I'm super excited about it. Let me have a real quick peek at my notes. Day 3. I'm fucking excited about day 3. And now I can't remember what it is. Oh yeah. Rewiring our brain for confidence and abundance. See, I knew I was excited about it. So it's going to be 3 super juicy days. Definitely invite you to get yourself registered, amyvanmeel.com/boss. However, if you don't want to register, hey, that's cool. You'll miss out on whatever the people who are registered for will get. But you can also just like follow me on Instagram at amyvanmeel. All the links are, of course, always in my show notes. And then just tune in with me, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, June 26th, 27th, 28th. We're going to be doing some live training. Okay, so with that, off we go. I have zero idea how long this episode is going to be. I imagine there's going to be, I wish that like, I need like one of those like little Fitbit things that like tracks how much I wave my hands when I get really excited, because today's episode is going to be like registering a lot of hand movements. So I don't have this written down, but I do want to just make sure that I'm also prefacing that this is, of course, it is not financial investment advice. Nothing in this episode is constituted as advice. You do need to take 100% responsibility for your financial decisions, for your financial actions, for your financial inactions. Definitely, you need to do your own research. And I mean, at the end of the day, really, it's a question of responsibility. I'm doing a terrible job of doing this, but I reference this very clearly in the first 2 episodes that really you need to own and fully embody your own financial investment decisions. I will share with you some of what I do and how I've approached things, and you're welcome to like take those on as insights. But I want to be very clear that this is not financial advice, and you absolutely need to do your due diligence. Okay, so with that, we're going to talk about, last week we talked about like different kinds of funds, ETFs, we talked about REITs. Gosh, I can't remember all the things we talked about, but we talked about a lot of things. This week, we're really diving into the like getting started investing. So, what is an investment platform is where we're going to start. So, back in the first episode of this series, I talked about a trading platform and explained that in order to invest in the stock market, you need to be registered with a trading platform or an investment platform. It's effectively like you it's I explain it as like a hotel key, right? Like you can go to the hotel, excuse me, you can see the stock market stacks. If you've been doing your homework the last 2 weeks, then you know that there is like lots of different information you can get on Google. I talked about Yahoo Finance. There's Apple has them. I'm sure like Android, Google, whatever has them. There's tons of places you can go to see and understand the stock market. But to actually invest, you can't just like go to Google and be like, Google, please invest in this. You actually need to be registered with an investment platform. Now, there's two options that I'm trying to see how I make this like super clear. So there's two options that I'm going to talk about today. One is like investing directly via an investment platform, and one is for like through more of a guided platform available through your bank. I think that I talked about that in the last episode. I'll touch on that a little bit again here, but in terms of today, we're going to be really focusing on investing directly through like your own direct investment platform. So to kind of give you an idea to put a name to like what the hell are you talking about, Amy, when you say investment platform? If you're in Canada, you may recognize names like Questrade or Wealthsimple, TD Bank, RBC Bank. Like these are all places that you can have a trading account that will give you access to trading on the stock market. In the US, I think there are platforms like Robinhood and Charles Schwab and shoot, I looked up a couple more, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. But there's a few different trading platforms. Every country, so whether you're in Canada, the US, or somewhere else in the world, every country will have their own trading platforms. So super easy way to kind of find one is just like head on over to the Googs and like pop in trading platform followed by your country, and you'll see what comes up. And the reason that they're different from country to country is that of course every geoeconomic region has their own financial rules. So even though, for example, Canada and the US are next door and we have a lot of similarities from one to the other, and we trade with one another quite frequently, Canada and American financial rules and guidelines are not the same. So just kind of have a look at what you're looking for. I personally, this is not advice, I personally trade with Questrade. I know that my husband trades directly through his bank. When I originally looked at that, there wasn't an option for me to trade directly through my bank. I could do the guided option that I mentioned last week. So that's where I had to go through and like fill in this whole application to like determine my level of risk. And then it sort of funneled me into here's the available options for you for investing. And the nice thing about doing it that way is that it gave me sort of like instant diversity, because now I'm investing in this like, I don't even know what the bank calls it, so I'm not doing a great job of explaining this, but it's like an ETF, like an index fund. The bank has their own team of investment advisors that like balances it and checks it. Now I do have I pay some fees for investing through that platform, but it allowed me to get into the game. And I think that when I started with like $10 a month. Like I started super small. I just wanted to get started, and because it was directly through my bank, I could just like the money would just automatically withdraw from my bank account, go into my investment account, and my investments would grow over time. But it is a little more, it's not more work to set up on the front end, but it's a bit more restrictive. Like when I did the initial assessment, it had me assigned to a investment option that was a lower risk than what I wanted. And in order to change it, I actually had to call the bank and speak to an investment advisor and have this like whole conversation about why I wanted to increase my risk level. It was a whole thing. So that's an option for you. But when I do my direct trading, I trade direct through Questrade. In terms of like how to research and choose a platform, here's where so many women in particular, but I think people just in general get stuck because it's like anything on the internet. There is so fucking much information out there. It's like, oh my God, how do I start? So I guide you through this with some key questions inside the Building Fempires program. But just a couple of things to get you started is think about like what's your goal. Think about a really great way to like very quickly siphon through different options available to you is like, what kind of investor are you? And by that I mean, are you someone who's investing like 10, 20, $30,000 a month? Or are you someone who's like investing, I don't know, up to $5,000 a month or up to $10,000 a month or like, whatever. The reason that's really important is that there are like different platforms will have, of course, different niche customers that they tailor themselves to. So if you're someone who's a really high volume investor in the means of like you've got lots of money that you're regularly investing, then you're going to want to have a look at a platform that is better able to support that particular kind of investment. However, I think for most folks, probably most of you who are listening to the podcast, you're going to be more in the what I'm going to call, and I don't mean this like as derogatory in any way, but like in a more of a beginner place, right? So unless you're investing like $100,000 tomorrow and like every month for the rest of time, look for ones that have lower fees. Do have a peek at like how do things go. So for example, to kind of break this down, when I buy an ETF, I don't pay a fee to buy that ETF. I don't remember if I pay a fee if I sell it. I haven't sold most of my investments, so I don't remember at the top of my head. However, when my husband buys, it doesn't matter what he buys. When he buys something, he pays a fixed fee. So that's not the end of the world if you're like buying once a year and kind of that's it. But if you're in the process of sort of consistently building your investment portfolio, let's say it's even like $10 per purchase, that can actually really quickly start to eat into your available capital to invest. So that's a really good thing to look at. Look at things that are important to you. Like for some people, for example, so when I first started trading with Questrade, the reviews were saying like the desktop version is great, but the app is garbage. And I'm like, well, I have no intent of investing through the app. So that doesn't matter to me. But everything that I was reading about the online platform was really, really good. And then, so that those are the first two things, like what kind of risk level are you? What kind of investor are you? And then the other thing I would just say is just have a quick cruise through the reviews. I find that this is true for like this is how I buy furniture. This is how I buy pretty much everything online. I have a look at the reviews. If the reviews are like, I call them garbage reviews because it's like I didn't like the color they used, or I'm really mad that I asked for a refund and they wouldn't give it to me, even though like clearly they have a no refund policy, right? Like those, I consider those garbage reviews. So I'm like, that's actually not, it has nothing to do with how the platform works or how the product works, etc. But if the reviews are sort of like, and I'm going to use a product, for example, like let's say I'm looking at buying a sofa and the reviews are like, it feels cheap. It actually sits really low. It looks really pretty, but it doesn't stand up for wear. Those are reviews that are worth paying attention to, right? So when it comes to investment platforms, kind of just like have a cruise through. Don't just say, oh, look, they've got 4.9 stars. That's amazing. Okay, they have 4.9 stars out of how many reviews, right? Because you can have, this is how I choose restaurants. You can have a place that has like 5 stars, but maybe only has 2 reviews. And you can have another place that maybe only has like 4.3 or 4.7 stars, but has like 4,000 reviews. It gives you an idea of just like how well vetted is this. So those are 3 great ways to start to tailor down and select the investment platform. Now, I do want to say this is such a great area that we can get stuck in decision paralysis, right? We just feel overwhelmed. We're like, "Oh my God, I don't even know, so I'm just going to like shut down." So, when we think about our sympathetic nervous system, right? I was explaining this at the beginning of the episode. When we have our fight or flight, we also have the freeze option. So, And I just love that I'm recording this week because literally this has come up in like 3 different things that I've been listening to this week, and randomly here it is showing up in the episode with you. So, what happens when we completely overwhelm our system? We basically bypass fight or flight. You're going to feel potentially some of that fight or flight on the way, but if your system is entirely overwhelmed, it shuts down. It goes into just this complete like um it's like your freeze or fawn kind of um what the hell do they call it? The words are failing me. Anyway, it's freeze or fawn cycles. So your body shuts down, your brain shuts down, you completely disconnect. All of us had felt this at some point in time. So when you're doing research into an investment platform, it is so easy to put yourself into a space of overwhelm. So here's what I want you to promise me before you get into it. Set a timer for an amount of time that you know you can do some research and you can leave and feel good about it. So what that means is, this isn't this for my overachievers out there. If you're like, okay, I can do this for like 2 hours, I'm just gonna go in and blah blah blah. But like you're gonna be overwhelmed in 30 minutes, don't fucking set a timer for 22 hours. Start with 10 minutes. Start with just like set a timer for 10 minutes, do a quick Google search on like trading platforms in your country, and just do an initial kind of perusal. Start to kind of get aware of, okay, these are some of the names. Have I heard of these before? Yes, no. What is kind of my initial impression? And then when that 10-minute timer goes off, I kid you not, shut it down, walk away. All right. Let that bit of information just sink in, percolate, move through you. Then maybe 2-3 days later, come back, set a timer for 20 minutes. Now you're like, okay, I actually want to look a little further into these 2 platforms, for example. So maybe you go visit their websites, you kind of look through their pricing pages or sales pages or whatever. And then again, when the timer goes off, you shut it all down and you walk away and you let that information percolate in. And then on what I would say is probably your third or your fourth. So unless something really significant happens, it kind of gets in the way of you being able to do a reasonable amount of research, not a crazy amount of research, but a reasonable amount, then I would say set your guideline for making a decision on your third approach. All right. So if your first time you sat down for 10 minutes, your second time you sit down for 20 minutes, on your third time, maybe you sit down for like 30 to 45 minutes. All right. Now you're going a little bit deeper. Now you've had some exposure already. You've had some time to think about it and to integrate the information. And now you can go, okay, so out of what I've read and kind of what I've been hearing, these 2 are on the top for me. So now let's look at these 2 and then follow your intuition. This is something that I'm on a mission to teach people about. Your intuition is so unbelievably powerful, okay? And I'm going to give you a quick little guideline on very quickly how you can tap into your intuition, because I'm very aware that not everybody is as tuned in to their intuition as I am, all right? I will say this, I'm going to front this with this. Every decision that I've ever made that has gone against my intuition has been a giant fucking mistake. And when it all blew up, and every single one of them has, I'm always standing there going, I fucking knew this would happen. I went against my intuition. There was something in me that said, this is not the right decision. I did it anyway, usually out of fear. And now here we are. I don't want that for you. So here's how you can tune into your intuition. So you're going to just like take a moment to close your eyes and tune into your body. Okay. And stay with me because the example is going to feel kind of yucky for a moment, but it's going to start out well. So you're tuning into your body. I don't want you to just like take a second to feel that restful state. You're just breathing in, you're breathing out, everything's chill, you're in neutral vibes. Now imagine that you're holding a puppy or a kitten, something super cute, something that like just fills your heart with joy. And pay attention to like, how does the inside of you respond? What does it feel like to you? Does it feel light? Does it feel open? Does it feel expansive? What does that feel like to you? Just tap in and capture a moment of like what that feels like to you. Okay, that's an intuitive yes. That like expansion, that openness, that moment that allows you to just like calm, still breathe, that's intuitive yes. Now, when we have an intuitive no, sorry to do this to you, imagine you're holding a dead puppy or a dead kitten, right? Your I would imagine that right now your entire inner being is beginning to contract, right? Everything is sort of contracting in. Your energy is literally pulling yourself, like your insides close and around you to protect you. It feels constrictive. It feels like something is wrong, even when you don't know why, right? That is an intuitive no. It's a very quick, not great, I suppose, way to kind of think about it. But like, I mean, it's great. It's a great way to think about it, but who wants to think about dead puppies? But that is a very simple way for you to start to understand, how does my body respond? How does intuition speak through my body? So when it comes to your trading platform, you can now use this knowledge of how your intuition works and tapping into that space. Let's say you've gotten down to like your two or three sort of main topics. Now you're going to feel into each trading platform and just tune in. Okay. So when I was selecting the trading platform that I wanted, or that I ended up using, I think there were sort of two that were standing out. So Questrade and Wealthsimple are two like fairly well-known ones in Canada. I think those were the two that I was looking at the time. And they were pretty similar in terms of their offering. And for me, it was like, okay, this is a really great place for me to get overwhelmed. So how do I make a decision so I can just move forward? I just tuned in and intuitively went like, okay, so I'm looking at this trading platform right now. I took a moment to just kind of sort of glance over the page, kind of tap into the energy of this particular platform, and then just tapped in. Very quickly closed my eyes, did a little breathing in, and went, okay, how does this one feel to me? Right? That's it. Not is this a yes or no, just how does this one feel to me? And I paid attention to what my body responded to. Then I went to the other one. Same thing. Took a moment, just kind of read over the page, had a bit of a glance to kind of understand and feel the energy of that particular platform, and then closed my eyes, tuned in, and went, how does this one feel to me? It's really, really subtle, but you will notice a difference between one and the other, and then you just fucking trust it. I am not kidding you. When you know, you just know. I used to coach people on this all the time. Um, when it was always so interesting to me. We're really conditioned that we need to give answers to like our yeses and our nos. And I would tell my folks all the time, if it's a no for you, you don't ever have to explain the no to me. If you just know it's a no, or if you just know it's a yes, great. If that's your intuitive yes or no, fucking follow it all day long. I won't question you on it. I might challenge you in case you're like bumping up against like an internal belief or a block that is actually like keeping you, you're maybe choosing a logical answer versus an intuitive answer. But if you intuitively are just like, Amy, I can't explain it, I just know that this is the right thing or this is the wrong thing, great. That's all you need to know. So your intuition is crazy powerful. So definitely tune into that. This was not intended to be an intuition episode, but here we are. Intuition is amazing. Okay. So that's how you're going to choose your platform, right? You've done your research. Maybe you're the kind of person who can just like sit down, do all the research, make the decision on day one. My guess is that probably most of you listening to this are not that kind of person. If you are, amazing, go on with your bad self, fucking kill it. If you are not, give yourself a couple of moments, like a couple of not tries, what's the word? Like exposures to doing a little bit of research and then walking away, and then taking in a little more information and then walking away. You want to give your brain and your body time to integrate and understand and like sort of piece together the information so that you're not making a decision out of like your fight or flight state, right? You're not making it out of fear. You're not making it out of scarcity. You're just like, okay, yep, this is the right one. Off we go. Now, once you select an account, select a trading platform. Within that trading platform, and each one will guide you very, very, very clearly. I just want to be ultra, ultra specific about that. So don't feel, first of all, I cannot tell you every single step that's going to happen because I do not exist on every single platform. And that's not what this podcast is about. So I can't tell you every single step. What I can tell you is that the trading platform you will choose will have steps for you. Now, I want to just kind of quickly call this out for the Canadians who are listening to this podcast episode. We do have some different account types in Canada. Candidly, I have zero idea if there are these kinds of accounts in any other country. I just do my best to stay up with enough of banking in Canada, and that's where we're at. So a few different account types that we have is something called a TFSA. You may have heard of that before. It's a tax-free savings account. This is something that you can leverage for your investments. So you can actually, inside the investment platform, open up a TFSA account. You can also have an RRSP account, so a registered retirement savings plan account, or you can just have a plain investment account that has no tax protections in place. I will share that for myself, I made the decision to open a TFSA. I will also say that I didn't check with my accountant ahead of time. I was like, this just seems intuitively right to me, so that's what I'm going to do. What I would recommend if you're really unsure, and you want to just kind of get a quick pulse check, just check in with an accountant or just do a quick Google search. But again, what I would say is if you're just getting started, if this is you're kind of learning, practicing, getting your feet into the water and starting to play the game, again, you can't fucking do it wrong. Just pick one. Pick whatever feels right to you and go with it. So if it's a TFSA, if it's an RRSP, if it's just a general trading account, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you can't do it wrong. All right. And you can always adjust as your investment knowledge and experience begins to shift and change and grow. All right. Cool. So once you select your platform, you're going to follow the prompts to set up the account. Now, there's a fair bit of data that you need to enter, and it's very likely going to ask to connect to your bank account so that it can make deposits and withdrawals much easier. So give yourself some time. What I do want to be clear, when you make the decision for your investment account, for your trading platform, that doesn't have to be the exact same day that you actually go in to set up your actual investment account. Okay. It's really good to understand that maybe on day 3, you make the decision, and on day 4, you take action on the decision. The reason that I'm pulling these two pieces apart is because it might throw you back into fear, scarcity, overwhelm if you've just spent time making the final decision on which trading platform you're going to use, and now you go into setting up your account and you're confronted with all of these questions and information. You're like, oh my God, this is not what I thought. So make sure that you give yourself time to integrate and that you can come into this space cool, calm, collected, and just feeling confident about it, even if you're I have no idea what the fuck's happening right now. If you're doing it off the back of making this decision, your sympathetic nervous system has already been monitoring and paying attention to how you've been feeling. And if you've been feeling stressed in any way, it's only going to get magnified when you go into it. All right. So 100% okay. And definitely recommend that if you need to, take some time and just step away. Okay. And then come back to it. So when you set up your trading account, it's like I said, it's going to ask you for a ton of things. Do your best. Just answer the questions with what feels right, with what makes sense. If you have any questions, maybe check in with someone who knows. I think most trading platforms will have a contact team or a help team. They want you as their customers, right? It's really good for them to have you on their platform. So if you're really feeling lost, there's no shame in reaching out to their customer support team and asking for some help. Now, once that's all set up, I realize we've been here together for a little while, but once that's all set up, you're now ready to transfer your initial money into your investment account. Keeping in mind that it might take a couple of days for everything to properly be connected. Your trading platform will have notifications and all the kind of jazz that you need to know for that. So kind of go in assuming that okay, today I can open up and set up the trading account, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I can instantly begin trading. All right. So what I will say at this point, it's very easy and I think highly socialized to us to just jump in and like put all of our money in and like take massive action, right? Because I mean, how many times have we heard that massive action means massive transformation? I would say yes and no. You're at the beginning of a lifelong investment journey. Okay? I just want you to like understand that. This is like well, at this point, you're probably like step 30 because you've done the research and all the things, but like it's the beginning of your investment journey. Give yourself time. Transfer in, like if you've been setting some money aside, great. Transfer in what you have available and what feels good. Okay. So if this is like $10, great. If it's $100, great. It doesn't really matter if it's like $10,000, great. The amount of money doesn't matter in any other way other than does it feel good to you to transfer it in? And be very cautious if you have this sort of ego demand saying, oh, we should put everything that's in our savings account or a checking account in here today because like, oh my God, we're going to make so much money. Watch for those little ego moments. Just again, tune into that intuition and go, okay, what feels good to transfer it in right now? Now, when it comes to direct trading, and this is where direct trading is different than like the guided option that I mentioned that you can get through, like you need to go through specific banks or investment houses. If you're investing directly in the stock market, you might need to add a few deposits over time in order to have enough to buy your first share. And that's okay. When I made the decision to, I hold some Tesla share. When I made the decision to invest in Tesla, I didn't have the money to like buy one share. That might sound like crazy, but I think like shares like $700 at the time, $700 US, which for my Canadians, you understand that that's not $700. That's like, I think that's like $920, right? It's a significant amount more. So I needed to, I slowly over time, instead of just like putting in a savings account, and again, this is not advice. Someone would tell me, Amy, that's a silly idea. But for me, it made sense to transfer what I had into my investment account and watch that money grow. And then once I had enough cash on hand in my investment account, I executed the buy order to buy my share. Very exciting. It was a big moment for me. So, if that's you, if you've made the decision of like what you want to invest in, whether it's an ETF, whether it's a direct something like Tesla or Apple or Nike or whatever, whatever the decision is, if you're like, that's what I want to start investing in, but it's going to take you a minute to get the money all put into your investment account, that's 100% fine. The point is that you've started your investment journey and now you're intentionally putting money into action. Now, at this point, you probably, if you haven't already, you'll be researching shares to buy. And I cannot say this enough times. Keep it simple. Buy what you know. So, for example, if you have enough money to buy an Apple share and you love and use Apple products and you think they're doing good things with their business, then go ahead and buy Apple. As we talked about last week, you can build instant diversity into your portfolio by buying something like an ETF. So that's a really great way to get started. If you're like, I'm not really sure and I don't know, do not let decision paralysis keep you out of the game. So buy what you know or buy as close to what you know, right? So I think last week that I shared about like ARK investments, and I mentioned that like I invested in a couple of their ETF funds. I didn't know all the companies that were in their funds, but I knew a few of them. And I more importantly understood the theme that was behind the fund. And I'm like, you know what? That makes sense to me. I'm on board with that. So I'm going to choose to invest in this fund. So that is a way of buying what you know. If you know, I don't know, Walmart, if you know, now all the names of share companies are falling out of my brain. If there's something that you're like, for my Canadians, if you know Shopify, if you know Google, if you know whatever it is, you know these companies that you're like, okay, that makes sense to me. I know and like and use that product. I feel like they're going in the right direction and that feels good to me to invest in, then just start there. Reminder, you cannot do it wrong. You can't fuck it up. You're just getting started. Okay? Now, spend no more than a week researching shares. Ideally, you did a bit of like early research after last week's episode. So you're feeling much more familiar with different shares, and you potentially already have a short list of like where you want to invest in, right? If you don't yet, and you've gotten to the point of today and you're like, okay, now I've got my investment, my trading platform set up. And what I will say, you don't have to have the decision about what you're going to invest in order to take action and set up your trading platform. Keeping in mind that like it's likely going to take a couple of days for things to process properly so that your trading platform is active and ready for you to invest, right? So that gives you this natural buffer of time. And even if it doesn't take you a couple of days, even if like you can open it up today and it's literally ready to go for you to transfer money in and start investing like the second that you're done, that doesn't mean you have to take action right away. But what I will say is don't wait too long to take action, because then you sort of start the cycle all over again of going, okay, well, I opened up the platform, but now I don't know, and now I don't know this, and I'm feeling unsure, and like, don't do that. All right. So set a goal for yourself to spend no more than 1 week from the moment that you open up your trading platform, in terms of like what shares you want to invest in. And my guess is that you can probably choose in a day or two, but you might want to take a little bit of time to look and let your brain process the information that you're reading. The same way that we talked about earlier this episode of like preparing and just kind of integrating information about the different trading platforms. Same thing with shares. So yeah, like start with maybe a short list of like 2 or 3 companies that you're aware of, companies that are like within your investment. What's the word I'm looking for? There's probably some fancy word, but like what's approachable for you. So like to give you an idea, when I started investing, I think when I started investing, like Tesla shares were like $1,000 a share. Like that was nowhere near approachable for me. It would take me so fucking long to get enough money to like invest and be like, well, that's silly. So I was like, okay, so down the road, I'd like to invest there. But in this particular time, this is the capital I have available. And here's the ones that are within my financial reach that will allow me to get in the game. All right. Okay, we're nearly at the end of our bullet points and we're over 45 minutes, but that's 100% okay because today is super juicy. So I'm going to end this particular episode with this little note. It's a little note, but it's a big note. Do not try to listen to all of the advice and make the perfect buy. You will go absolutely crazy. All right? There is no perfect buy. Remember what I said at the start of this episode? Financial experts and professionals will try to make it seem like it's a super complicated thing. And if you don't make the exact right decision, all hell is going to break loose and you're going to be like poor and destitute in 20 or 30 years. Okay? It's very hard to fuck it up. Like, invest in what you know. What I would probably caution you against, like if you're just getting started and like maybe there's a company that you're kind of familiar with that is about to IPO, so like do an initial public offering, i.e. become publicly traded, maybe you want to wait to invest in them or you want to limit how much you invest in that company. But if you're looking at a company, Tesla, Apple, Google, Facebook, Walmart, Burlington Northern, and Max, all the different companies that have been around for a while, you can see how that company has been doing. And there are, I guarantee you, because I heard all of these myself, and that's where I got stuck in Overwhelm. There are lots of financial experts that will tell you to like do a full assessment of the company, look at the company's health and financials, really dig into what are they doing, understand what their cash flow is, understand what their, oh my God, you and I probably don't have time or the interest to dive that deep into it. Warren Buffett reads that stuff for breakfast. He fucking loves it. Amazing. That's awesome. Perfect. I don't know many people that like dive into books about money and psychology and manifestation the way that I do, right? It's something that I love to do. So I will spend hours and hours and hours reading it because that's what lights me up. But I'm not going to let that get in the way of building my financial wealth, of growing my financial muscles, And if I did, well, then I'd just be sitting on the sidelines and 20 years from now going, man, I really wish that I had started earlier, right? So what I'm trying to get to is just do a little bit of research. We've talked about that already. You understand now what you need to jump into it. Trust your intuition. Seriously, I cannot say this enough. Trust your intuition. But do make sure that you are making an emotionally regulated decision. So, by that I mean, if you are feeling like, if you feel this antsiness of like, oh my fucking God, I just need to fucking buy something already, that is not the time to make a buying decision. Okay. That's true for anything, but like in particular in investing. Wait, give yourself a moment to just like come back into emotional neutrality. There's lots of different exercises. You can do some breathing, you can do some shaking, go for a walk, do for a run, hit an exercise, whatever it is, but come into emotional neutrality and then make the decision from there, because your intuition is it's the still calm quiet voice that comes from inside. It doesn't shout, it doesn't holler, it doesn't like wildly wave its arms. It is a still calm quiet voice, and that's how you're going to make the best buying decision. Once you're in there, execute your buy order, bam, you have just become an investing pro. All right, babe. Whew. I don't know about you. I have worked up a sweat recording this episode. I am trusting that like it has made sense. I generally don't just like do bullet points, but I really wanted to bring this episode together from the energy that I was in when I first sat down. Now I'm feeling like super like chill vibe, calm, boss vibes, and I just have so enjoyed spending this time with you. And I will just close this episode with one more invite to the free workshop. It is absolutely 100% free. It is going to be 3 really amazing days. I'm so excited. So if you're not already following me on Instagram, definitely recommend that you do at Amy Van Meel. Again, the link is in the show notes. And yeah, we're going to have 3 days together where we're just going to be like sharing some really juicy insight information. My whole intent behind this 3-day workshop is really to like spark the transformation for you, and like help you really step into that boss confident financial vibe, because I think that's what most of us want to have, right? So if you want to, you don't have to register, of course. You can just like join me on the Instagram lives. However, if you want to register ahead of time, I will very likely have some extra juicy things for the folks who register. And more importantly, when you register for the workshop, you will get access to the replay page so that you can actually watch the videos again, which is really great if you either A, can't make it live, or B, want to revisit and review the information a second or third time. As someone who invests in a lot of different programs and takes like free trainings quite often, I cannot say enough how often having that replay has been a really, really valuable thing, even when I have been tuning in live. So in order to register for the workshop, head on over to amyvanmeel.com/boss and get your sweet little buns registered. All right, my love, I trust that this episode has been helpful for you. If you have not yet, please leave a review on your favorite podcasting app of the podcast. Also, if this episode has resonated with you and you've been like having conversations with friends or family about investing, please share this episode, share the whole friggin' series out with them. I really want to make getting into investing just easier for all folks, women in particular. Yeah, just let them know like, hey, there's this like lady who talks a lot, but she has some really great things to talk about. Here's a couple of episodes. I would really, really appreciate it. Every time that we increase our reviews and increase our downloads, of course, that allows us to get the word out to more people. It allows us to show to the podcast platforms themselves that what we're sharing here is valuable, and ideally put more eyes on it. And that would be amazing. All right, my love, I wish you an amazing day. I cannot wait to sit down with you next week. If you have questions, okay, I want to, before I close out, if you have questions, so next week's episode, we're going to be doing common misconceptions about investing busted. All right, I'm really excited about it. I think I've got 7 so far. But if you have questions about any of the information that I've shared regarding investing so far, please head on over to the podcast question submission page, which is, I think it's amyvanmeel.com/podcast questions. I have the link in the show notes, of course, and submit your questions. I will be recording that episode fairly soon. So yeah, get your questions in sooner than later. And if I don't catch them all on the next episode, then I'll do a future episode to catch them all then. All right, that's officially it. I am going to find some dinner. My love should be on his way home. It's going to be a lovely evening. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following @AmyVanMeel or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.